Hello again. This is Paul Feuerstein, technology editor of Dentistry Today, and I'm about to leave my bunker. I've been locked up in here for a long time, and it's time to see patients. Things are opening up in Massachusetts, and today it is my great pleasure, great pleasure, to bring to you Stanley Bergman, who is the chairman and CEO of Henry Schein. And Stan, thank you so much for taking time out of your crossword puzzles and watching Netflix to come speak with me.
Thanks, Paul. It's great to be here with you. I read with great interest the information you publish because, of course, you're very much followed in the whole digital and IT space in dentistry.
I appreciate that. So before we get started, I just how have you been doing? I mean, you've been locked up in New York somewhere and hiding out with your family and some staff people. And how's everybody doing?
Well, we decided, like with most people in the company, to work from home. And we made that decision about 7 or 8 weeks ago. And my wife and I are in our apartment in New York City. We have a great view of the city. Been here for almost 8 weeks. And I can tell you one thing, the discipline in New York, the streets are empty,
Yeah.
which is terrific. And ensuring that social distancing, in fact, is maintained here. And people are taking it very, very seriously. And we can see it from our apartment.
So I don't think the average dentist understands the scope of the Schein company and what you do. I mean, you have over 19,000 employees. You're in over 30 countries around the world. And just kiss up to you a little bit. You've won some fantastic awards. You've been the world's ethical company. You're #1 in social responsibility. And that only happens because of you at the helm believe that the dentist, the customer is #1. That's what I'm seeing.
Well, I don't know about me at the helm. The bottom line is we have a phenomenal team. And the team is a byproduct of our culture, which is driven from our values. And our values are such that we believe Henry Schein is driven by 5 constituents. Our suppliers, they have to really view us as the place to come and bring their products to so that we can bring them to market. We have great suppliers and great relationships. Our customers, and we do business with about 1 million customers. That's 1.5 million dentists and physicians around the world. And for those practitioners, we want to help them operate a more efficient practice so they can provide better clinical care. And then there's, of course, our team, our #1 asset, of course. We are a public company, so we get assets from the public, cash essentially and debt. But we're very clear with our investors. Henry Schein exists for all of the constituents, and our investors are one of those 5 constituents. And of course, the 5th is society. And in that context, Paul, we are very, very committed to ensuring that we work in public-private partnerships to increase access to oral care and ensure that the office-based physicians have a very key role in healthcare, because it's the physicians in the practices and the dentists that are practicing their professions in a way that advances wellness and prevention, which is so important in today's healthcare parameters.
I just love your passion and enthusiasm. It's you can't make this stuff up. I mean, this is what makes it all work. So this has been to say it's unprecedented is an understatement, obviously. And the company has responded as a dentist, as a customer also. We're watching what you've been doing, and then something came up. And plus, I want to thank you for posting on social media. You personally have been posting some very nice pieces to explain what's going on behind the scenes. But you've launched something called the Thrive Recovery Program. And tell me a little bit about what that's about.
Well, so Paul, our goal throughout the crisis, from a customer point of view, has been twofold. One is to help those practitioners that are on the front line. And believe me, there are thousands of dentists that are on the front line of this virus. What they're doing is they're triaging patients away from the ER. We got to keep people out of the ER, and dentists are doing a great job, albeit that they are inhibited with the amount of PPE that has gone their way, because PPE up to now has been prioritized for the hospital.
Exactly.
So we are working on it, by the way, very deeply, a huge amount of activity going on. So we have been focused from the beginning on helping those practitioners that are actually on the front line have the tools they need. The second area that we've been focused on is helping practitioners get through this period from a financial point of view, because they're being drained out of financial resources. PPP, the government program, has helped, but not in a material way, because only a limited number of dentists had access to it. We are working to find ways to have more dentists get access to the PPP program, but it's been a challenge.
Well,
They didn't get in fast enough. Others got in, and we're dealing with that. But the big area that we want to focus on is helping practitioners, as they open their practice, get into practice. And in that connection, the Thrive program provides two big areas of support. One is on all the value-added services, all the services that dentists need to get back into practice, and at the same time making sure that they get the products. And of course, the biggest challenge of all on the product side is the PPP area, where we have been intimately involved now for 8 weeks on this matter, but actually have been involved with PPP for decades.
And you're running into a problem, because we in dentistry really didn't need these things before to this extent. So you didn't have warehouses full of this stuff, and we were just caught off guard, I think.
Well, there were no warehouses full of N95s or KN95s. There were some in the government stockpile,
Sure.
and a minimal amount used by hospitals, and therefore hospital suppliers had some of those products. Of course, the capacity has been ramped up. Having said that, dentistry never really used these PPP,
Right.
these N95s, a small amount. So we are now pushing for dentistry to get a fair share of those N95s or KN95s. It's complex. There are supply chain issues. There are countries that are not allowing product to move. And there are FDA challenges, because the FDA wants to ensure, rightly so, that these products are of high quality and that they are compliant with the laws. We are working, of course, on that, but all of that is taking time. And meanwhile, we have practitioners that need the product to take care of sick patients now, and also they're opening up their offices.
And that's the real bottom line. So, I mean, you've done pretty well, but part of the thing I've seen is that even in the manufacturing overseas, even they're at their max, and there's also raw materials that are now overloaded too. So there's a whole chain. I call it the supply chain, for lack of a better word.
Well, there are enormous challenges with the raw materials. One has to understand the history of all of this. The history of this is that the virus occurred at a time when the Chinese manufacturers were closed, because they were on Chinese New Year. And so we needed product. We couldn't get it. The manufacturers couldn't get the raw material. And then there was a choking of the supply chain. At the time, not only were physicians and dentists looking for products, but the consumer, the public, was buying masks.
Yeah.
And that siphoned out a huge amount of product. Then, as the crisis got worse, priority was given to hospitals, and rightly so.
Sure.
Now we are fighting to get product for the office-based dentist and physician.
And many of us, including my own office, at the beginning started donating what we had to the hospitals. And here we are coming back. And I said, oh, I mean, I'm glad we did it.
Well, we had N95s that we donated because we never thought dentists would need them.
Right.
Then, as the virus got understood, the CDC and the ADA said dentists need them. And rightly so. Dentists need N95s, or the Chinese version, KN95s, and only as an a shield and what's called an L3 mask.
Right.
But that's not good enough. We need to get these dentists the N95s, and we're working very hard on that.
And we're saying dentists, but the dental hygienists are also really.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
I didn't mean that,
Yeah, absolutely. I should have said the dental profession.
Yeah.
And in that connection, Paul, the number one risk in all of this is the dental hygienist.
Yes.
And we have to take care of them.
And they're frightened. And this is opening up a whole other can of worms, that we have dentists who are frightened to come back. Frightened is too strong of a word, but staff, assistants, certainly hygienists are pushing back a little bit. And between the economic hits we're taking, and now we're saying we're losing some of our staff members to take care of the patients. What do you see here?
Well, I think we in the dental community have a huge job ahead of us, and that is to ensure that the public, the healthcare professionals in this country, and government, elected officials know the importance of oral care. Oral care is not about cosmetics. Yes, there's some of that, but it's all about having a high correlation between good oral care and good health care. Take care of the mouth, and issues from pulmonary, cardiac, cancer, diabetes, even obstetrics get diminished. Those issues go down with good oral care. Our job is to ensure that the public and the elected officials understand the importance of oral care. Should the public eventually understand that, and should the elected officials understand it, we will ensure that we get a fair share of the products that are needed to keep the profession safe. If not, the profession is not going to be able to perform services that are needed for the public.
That's great. It's just crazy. So let me just digress for a second. The last time I saw you, we spoke at the Chicago Midwinter Dental Meeting. I said, Stan, I'll see you at the next meeting. And I mean, you have a great presence at the dental meetings. That's where I get a lot of my information. You have big booths. You have a lot of manufacturers representatives. You show products. You teach us about everything. Now what?
Well, I still think shows will have a role. But if there's anything that we've learned from this virus, is that a lot can be done through videoing. Whether
Absolutely.
it's our conversation, in fact, it may even be better than to have a side conversation as a show. It may be better to have it on the internet so that many people can see the conversation. We also know that telemedicine is pretty effective. I have a family member that had a pretty serious operation, and he has to get his image has to be taken every year. Well, it had to get taken 2 months ago, and it was just taken now, the image. And his doctor saw the image literally within an hour of the X-ray, and was able to diagnose him. So my son wrote me a letter back saying, you know what, next time I don't need to use the gas and go to the doctor. The doctor can see me on the video. This has all changed as a result of the Corona-19 virus.
Yeah.
Videoing and communication is much easier. There's a challenge with it because we lose the personal touch, but so much more business can be done now by video.
And I think you're seeing that even I mean, you're in New York City, so many people are not traveling into the city right now, and they're saying, maybe I don't have to do this commute anymore. I mean, it's going to be a very, very interesting thing in the entire world business. And in dentistry, of course, teledentistry, telemedicine has been fantastic. For me personally, I have patients calling me, my crown fell out, this happened, and I'll say, and we've set up some little secure channels. So I say, send me a photo of it. I've had a couple of FaceTime views, like Zoom, things like this. It's a little bit outside of the HIPAA compliance right now, but we're learning how to do it properly.
We have a system that we sell now, a telemedicine system that is HIPAA compliant.
Oh, great.
And I think it's going to allow more efficiency, and for you to go to the dentist for the procedures that are needed to be done when the dentist needs to see you. At the same time, we have to ensure that dentists get reimbursed for their telemedicine time.
That's a long story. I mean, I've had many discussions with some of the practice management people, and they say, don't worry about what the insurance is going to pay. Make your fees, make a value. It's a value to the patient. So just do what you want to do. Do what you have to do. I mean, I know offices that are charging for the PPE right now. They're charging a specific fee for that. And people say, whoa, well, insurance isn't going to cover that. It's like, this is costing me some money here in this office. My overhead has just shot up and I have no money.
PPE is expensive. And particularly now, it's not really available. So there's now all these people that are importing stuff, not in the normal channel.
Oh, sure.
We don't know if it's legitimate or not. We are charging the same price as in the past. In other words, whatever we bought it for, we have a small markup. But what is happening is the stuff is moving around. We don't know what it is, whether it's legitimate or not, but it's expensive. And the dentist is going to have to pay for it. And some of the insurance companies are already understanding this and adding a reimbursement.
Yeah. So Stan, I don't want to, I know we only had a short period of time. I'd love to speak to you for another hour or two. Time is very, very important, especially with you're running all the things that you're doing. So I just want to thank you so much for taking this time with me. I want to get back to you on a few things later on. Maybe we'll bring you back later on as a recap after we all get back to work and see how things are going too. Let's just see how things do. I want you to stay well. We need you around. And like I said, I'm getting ready to go to work. I may get my hair cut tomorrow, or maybe next week if they open it up in Massachusetts. You know, who knows? It's kind of,
Just
you know.
be careful. Don't go to work too soon. No,
Well,
really, we do not want a number 2, a Corona 2. We can't.
No.
That will be worse than Corona 1.
So, you know, we'll be well protected and be very careful and selective of what we're doing in the practice, I think. And I think that's part of it, selective, you know, doing a little bit of selection.
We have some tools that can help you with your software to make sure that you stage the patients right, that they don't bump into each other.
Oh,
so
that's great.
But you have to be careful.
Well, and again, I can't thank you enough. And be safe, be well. And I want to see you again soon.
Good. Same to you. I look forward to maybe even giving you a hug on the floor of one of these shows.
Oh, boy.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you so much.